Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And feel free to interject at any time, but I only have now maybe 6 minutes, so maybe hold questions at the end. I'm going to talk about sim-to-real for biological robots. Now, this workshop is about how to make better soft robots through design optimization. And what are some ways that soft robots can be better? Well, we can, like many engineers before us, we can look to nature for inspiration. And there are lots of things that animals and plants do better than any robot we've ever made. They self-repair, they self-reproduce, they are biodegradable by definition. All their matter gets recycled and formed into new machines that are over time better in some sense. And we've made a lot of really amazing technologies. These are mostly rigid technologies, but you could imagine also there's some soft robots on here, but they all have some limitations. And one in particular I want to just point out is that all technologies, rigid or soft, eventually they break. And when they break, they usually just become trash because they can't fix themselves like animals and plants. And then they end up in a landfill or in the ocean where they can degrade over time and have really harmful effects on our health and our ecosystems. So this is the motivation behind biological robots or biocompatible technologies more generally. And I've helped create some strange biocompatible technologies made out of a strange animal called Xenopus laevis, which translates to strange foot smooth skin. We're going to take some material from eggs of this frog. I'll explain that in a moment, but not the frog itself. But we can take some building materials to make a biocompatible technology. For example, a skin cell or a stem cell from an egg that would, if we didn't take it out of the egg, become just a passive skin cell that sits on the outside of a frog. And also heart cells that contract and expand like a piston. And you can imagine this is your Lego kit now. So what kinds of things can you build with this frog Lego kit? Could you make anything useful? And I guess an interesting question would be, could you make a soft robot that's better at something? What if you wanted a soft robot to do a particular task? You knew that these materials are biodegradable, that's really nice, but how should you combine these materials to make the soft robot do what you want it to do? To answer that question, I created a computer simulation with these red changing to green volumetrically actuating heart muscle cells and these blue passive skin cells. And these are randomly generated designs. And as you can see, none of the randomly generated designs fully satisfy the objective of move to the right. But some, like the design in the top left, don't move at all, while others, just by chance, fall forward in the correct direction. So we can delete the bad ones, replace them with modified copies of the better ones, and repeat this process again and again and again. And eventually we get simulated agents capable of crawling locomotion. So what we did was we took these optimized designs made of simulated heart cells in red and simulated skin cells in blue, and we built them out of real frog heart cells and real frog skin cells, which are, as I mentioned, biodegradable, which is nice. And let's focus on this one particular design. You can see it a little bit better if we inject it with an RNA molecule that makes the skin glow green, the heart glow red. You can see that the transfer of structure is pretty good. This one was built by my colleague, Doug Blackiston, and it is smaller than half of a poppy seed. And we carve it out with these little forceps, if you can see my camera, I don't know, very little forceps under a microscope to match this structure. But as we said, we want to make soft robots, not soft statues. So these structures need to do something. So more important is the transfer of behavior. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen, the behavior of the simulated robot on the left matches that of its living counterpart on the right. So I don't have much more time, but I just want to pause for a moment and think about what this means. So this shows that AI can not only design proteins and other biological building blocks, but AI can design completely new kinds of organisms that look and act differently from any organism that's ever existed on Earth. Or another way to say that is these are biological robots. You can pick whatever term you want. And if we treat them as robots, if they can one day do useful work, they can, like all other organisms, biodegrade. Okay, so I have a few more minutes and I'll just briefly show you that how this is done. So this is videos of Doug Blackiston disassembling a frog egg and putting it in a chemical treatment to get out our little frog Legos, the white cells underneath the brown shell of the egg. These are stem cells. They're from 24-hour-old frog eggs. They're mostly undifferentiated, but we know where to get the particular kinds of tissues we're looking for by their location in the eggs. If you put enough of these little Lego blocks together, unlike plastic Legos, these have some agency. They stick together. They try to minimize surface area because they expect to be in a developing embryo surrounded by cells. So they form spheres. But from that sphere, we can carve out the desired body shape. So you can see Doug sculpting, in this case, not a computer-designed soft biological robot, but a human-designed soft biological quadruped about the size of a poppy seed. And just some ideas to improve sim to real. Maybe we can do some better, more efficient methods in evolution that let us attempt more sim to real because they're just faster. Evolution takes a long time, which is the algorithm I described. We might close the sim to real gap, as was just mentioned in the previous talk, by some kind of system identification. And what's nice here is that if we are doing system identification and the simulation is improving, then that means our new simulator is embodying some knowledge about real biological phenomena, which could lead to insights in biology or medicine. We can improve the simulator. Voxels have this very squarish design constraint. Maybe there are better methods. Sense-guided behavior instead of open loop control. And finally, I'm interested in working with other roboticists here to incorporate non-biological materials inside of these. And we can make them also bigger. It doesn't have to be poppy seed size. We can get up to a little bit bigger than that. Frog cells are nice. They survive in water. They biodegrade. They do all of these great things, but they're also not as predictable and controllable as some of the robots that we're learning about in this workshop. So why not combine them? Best of both worlds. So these are some ideas, but I look forward to talking with some of you after this workshop about some more. Okay.